My twin brother, who is the family favorite, is trying to steal my fiancé and ruin my engagement. Because of this, we didn't invite him to our wedding. At 28, I never imagined I'd turn to the internet to air out my family issues. Yet here I am. This saga revolves around my twin brother Tristan, also 28. Unlike me, Tristan has always been the golden boy. Intelligent, athletic, and irresistibly charming, while I've often felt overshadowed by his accomplishment. Growing up, our parents, especially our mother, showed blatant favoritism towards him. They would celebrate his minor achievements and often disregard mine. This disparity planted the seeds of an early rift between us. Tristan, aware of his favored status, frequently manipulated situations to his advantage, fully knowing our parents would back him up. A vivid memory that still stings is from when we were 7. Tristan deliberately destroyed my favorite toy car, a red Ferrari gifted by our grandfather before his demise. When I sought justice from our parents, Tristan dismissed it as an accidental mishap, and without hesitation, they sided with him. Their advice to me was to share better and be more careful. It was my first bitter taste of the unfairness that was to permeate my life. As we hit adolescence, the favoritism only intensified. In middle school, I dedicated weeks to the debate team, preparing tirelessly for my first competition. The evening before, filled with a mix of nerves and excitement, I meticulously organized my notes and presentation materials. But disaster struck the next morning. I discovered my notes scattered and my poster board soaked. Tristan's excuse? An accidental water spill during a late-night snack. True to form, our parents rushed to his aid, crafting a new poster for his science project, completely neglecting the havoc wrought on my preparations. High school brought no respite. I developed a deep crush on Rachel, a girl who was as witty as she was kind. After much deliberation, I confided in Tristan about my plan to ask her out. Betraying my trust, he wasted no time. The very next day, I caught him charmingly engaging with Rachel in the school corridor. Within a week, Tristan and Rachel were officially dating. When I confronted him about it, he laughed and said, "You snooze, you lose, bro." Our parents, instead of acknowledging how hurt I was, found the situation amusing, telling me it was cute that we liked the same girl. They even suggested I should be happy for my brother. Despite the constant undermining, I focused on my academics and was accepted into a good college. I purposely chose a university on the other side of the country, desperate to escape Tristan's shadow and the toxic family dynamics that had defined my life. Those 4 years at university were nothing short of transformative. For the first time, I was free from constant comparison and could be myself. I made friends who valued me for who I was, not in relation to anyone else. I joined several clubs, taking on leadership roles and discovering new strengths I hadn't realized I possessed. During my sophomore year, I decided to see a therapist. It was a daunting decision, but I knew I had years of unresolved feelings from my childhood that I needed to address. Therapy wasn't easy. I had to confront years of feeling like I was always second best, living under the weight of Tristan's accomplishments. But over time, I learned to rebuild my self-esteem and set healthier boundaries. I began to understand that I wasn't responsible for Tristan's actions, nor my parents' favoritism. This realization was liberating and marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. By the time I graduated, I had a newfound sense of confidence and clarity. After graduation, I secured a fantastic job in marketing in the same city where I went to college. It felt like the perfect start to the independent life I had worked so hard to build. That's when I met Felicity, 26, the woman who would change my life. We were assigned to the same project team, and I was immediately captivated by her intelligence and warm demeanor. Despite my past insecurities, I mustered the courage to ask her out, drawing on the confidence I'd built through therapy. To my delight, she said yes. Our first date was at a charming little Italian restaurant, and we spent hours talking, completely losing track of time. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen and valued for who I was, not as someone's shadow or backup. Felicity and I have now been together for 3 amazing years, and each day feels better than the last. She understands me on a deep level, and her patience and support have been a constant source of strength, especially as I've shared the complexities of my family history with her. When I proposed to Felicity recently, she said yes without hesitation. In that moment, I felt like the luckiest man alive. For the first 2 years of our relationship, I kept Felicity separate from my family, visiting them occasionally but never bringing her along. I wanted to protect the safe, loving space we had created, far away from the drama and dysfunction that had marked my past. I was wary of introducing Felicity to my family's complex dynamics, particularly because of Tristan's unpredictable behavior. However, as our relationship deepened and discussions of marriage began, I realized I could no longer keep these two crucial aspects of my life apart. Last Thanksgiving, with mixed feelings of nervousness and hope, I brought Felicity home to meet everyone. My optimism quickly faded upon our arrival. Tristan's behavior was unsettling. He fixed his gaze on Felicity, showering her with undue attention. He was overly tactile, frequently touching her arm or shoulder and standing uncomfortably close, all while conspicuously ignoring me. Felicity, ever the polite soul, bore his advances with visible discomfort. During dinner, Tristan seized the opportunity to regale everyone with skewed tales from our childhood, casting himself as the hero and me invariably as the misfit. He boasted about his days as a star quarterback, a position I never aspired to as I was dedicated to the school band. Our parents, either ignorant or indifferent to our discomfort, laughed along with his narratives. The evening plunged further into discomfort when I overheard Tristan suggest to Felicity that she was too good for me and deserved someone more akin to her stature. He insolently hinted that she should keep her options open. Later that night, I confronted him, demanding he respect my relationship and keep his distance. He merely smirked in response, arrogantly asserting that it was only a matter of time before Felicity recognized she was with the wrong twin. Since that disastrous Thanksgiving, Tristan has not let up. He frequently sends Felicity texts under the guise of friendliness and floods her social media with flirty comments and inside jokes. Last week, he crossed another line by appearing at her workplace with roses, claiming a spontaneous visit. Despite Felicity's clear rejections, he persists, laughingly dismissing her discomfort as playing hard to get and insisting on a non-existent mutual attraction. Shockingly, our parents continue to enable his deplorable actions. When I broached the topic with my parents, this confrontation made me acutely aware of how much I had asked Felicity to endure, and guilt washed over me for not having taken action sooner. Determined to address the situation, Felicity and I agreed to confront Tristan directly. We chose a neutral meeting place, a coffee shop near our apartment, and when we arrived, Tristan was already there, exuding his usual smugness. He welcomed Felicity with a prolonged hug that was uncomfortably intimate, then barely acknowledged my presence. Taking a deep breath to steady my nerves, I confronted him. Calm yet firm, I detailed the specific ways he had undermined our relationship and disrespected Felicity. I cited the inappropriate messages, his uninvited appearance at her workplace, and his relentless snide remarks. Felicity stood her ground admirably, directly informing Tristan that she had no interest in him and demanding he cease his pursuit immediately. She expressed that his behavior was not only jeopardizing our relationship, but also any potential for a harmonious family dynamic in the future. Surprisingly, Tristan's response was devoid of remorse. Instead, he scoffed, dismissing our concerns with a laugh. "Come on, you can't seriously think Felicity would choose you over me. I'm just offering her a better option. We both know I've always been the better twin." His words struck a nerve, echoing the sibling rivalries of our childhood. Only this time, it wasn't a toy at stake, it was my future wife. Yet Felicity responded with remarkable poise, rising to meet his gaze. "I've already made my choice," and Tristan had preemptively visited our parents to present his own version of the events, shaping the narrative to his advantage. As Felicity and I entered the house, my mother immediately began fussing over Tristan, peppering him with concerned questions and casting disapproving glances our way. Meanwhile, my father sat silently in his armchair, his discomfort palpable but unspoken. Determined to clarify the situation, we settled into the living room, where I began to unfold the truth. I detailed Tristan's relentless, inappropriate advances, his troubling messages to Felicity, and the discomfort it had caused both of us. I explained that while we initially tried to manage the situation privately, Tristan's unyielding behavior had escalated to the point where we felt compelled to take firmer action. To my dismay, my parents' reaction was not of understanding but of frustration, directed not at Tristan, but at us. My mother quickly dismissed our concerns, accusing us of being too harsh on Tristan, whom she believed was merely being friendly. She even suggested that Felicity might be misinterpreting his intentions, claiming that he was just trying to welcome her into the family. My father then added his perspective, trivializing the issue as typical sibling rivalry over romantic interests. He accused me of insecurity, asserting that a strong relationship should not be threatened by such matters. Their responses were a bitter pill to swallow. It became painfully clear that they were overlooking the seriousness of Tristan's actions, choosing instead to prioritize his feelings over the very real harm he was causing to my relationship with Felicity. Their dismissal felt like a betrayal, dismissing our genuine concerns as mere overreaction. Reaching my breaking point, I firmly told my parents that if they could not recognize the toxicity of Tristan's actions and respect my relationship with Felicity, then we would need to significantly limit our interactions with them. I emphasized that their continued support of Tristan's behavior was not only harming our relationship, but also fracturing the family unity they so cherished. My mother's reaction was immediate and emotional. She burst into tears, accusing me of tearing the family apart out of jealousy towards Tristan. She claimed I was manipulating the situation to isolate them from their good son. My father's disappointment was palpable and his words cut deep. "I thought we raised you better than this," he said, his voice heavy with reproach. This confrontation, though painful, underscored the difficult choices Felicity and I might have to make to protect our future together. "Family should always come first," my mother reiterated as Tristan sat smirking, clearly relishing the turmoil he had instigated. He even had the gall to say, "See, bro, even mom and dad think you're overreacting. Why don't we all just calm down and spend some time together?" I'm sure Felicity would love to get to know the family better. Unable to bear it any longer, Felicity and I left, a tumult of sadness and relief swirling within us. In the car, Felicity broke down, overwhelmed with guilt, fearing she had caused the rift within my family. I reassured her fervently that none of this was her fault. Rather, it was the culmination of long-standing dysfunctional family dynamics finally erupting. To put some distance between us and the ongoing strife, we decided to take a break from my family and focus solely on us. Amidst the chaos, we resolved to continue with our wedding plans. We are now considering a smaller ceremony, likely just with close friends and Felicity's family. Simultaneously, I've begun exploring options for family therapy, hopeful that professional intervention might help address and mend some of the fractures within my family's relationships. For the time being, our priority is our mental health and planning a future together that feels healthy and fulfilling. This ordeal has paradoxically strengthened our bond. Felicity's unwavering support has been a pillar of strength, and she's taught me the importance of demanding respect and establishing boundaries with my family. Our lives are moving forward day by day, focused on building a shared future. I'll continue to keep you updated on our progress and any new development. Update 2, a few months have passed since my last post, and unfortunately, the situation has grown even more complex. I'm grateful for all the support and guidance you've provided, and I feel it's important to share the latest twists in our ongoing family saga. After our initial confrontation, Felicity and I were determined to move ahead with our wedding, setting a date 6 months out and beginning the preparations for a modest, intimate ceremony with supportive friends and a select few family members. This plan gave us something positive to focus on amid the turmoil. However, about a month ago, a call from my cousin Emily, who has always been more like a sister, brought startling news that once again shook the delicate balance we were striving to maintain. Emily has consistently seen through Tristan's facade, and her insights are something I deeply value. Late one night, I received a distressing call from my cousin Emily, who sounded deeply concerned. She revealed something that turned my stomach. Tristan had been spreading rumors within the family that Felicity was having second thoughts about our marriage. He was falsely claiming that Felicity had confided in him, supposedly admitting she was only proceeding with the wedding out of pity for me. According to him, Felicity had developed feelings for him but felt trapped in her engagement to me. Tristan portrayed himself as a heartbroken, noble figure respecting Felicity's wishes despite his own pain. Infuriated by these allegations, I immediately contacted Felicity, who was just as shocked and upset. She vehemently denied ever expressing such sentiments to Tristan and reaffirmed her complete commitment to our relationship. It pained her deeply that Tristan would concoct such lies and that some family members might actually believe them. Together, we resolved to confront this issue directly. To clear the air, we drafted a precise and firm message, detailing the true nature of the situation and explicitly debunking Tristan's claims. We distributed this message to our entire family via email and social media, clarifying our stance and correcting the misinformation being circulated by Tristan. Additionally, in the same communication, we made the painful decision to announce that Tristan would not be invited to our wedding. We explained that his persistent efforts to undermine our relationship had forced our hand. This decision, though difficult, was deemed necessary to ensure our peace of mind on what should be the happiest day of our lives. The response to our message was immediate and overwhelming. My phone was inundated with calls and texts, among them, my parents pleading for us to reconsider the exclusion of Tristan from the wedding. They expressed heartbreak at the thought of one son being absent on the other's wedding day, with my mother tearfully branding our decision as cruel and vindictive. What stung the most was the realization that some relatives believed Tristan's fabrications. Several aunts and uncles expressed their doubts about the health of our relationship. Aunt Karen in particular suggested we postpone the wedding, arguing that such uncertainties were normal but needed to be resolved before making a lifelong commitment. This wave of familial doubt and the divisive situation it engendered was disheartening, yet it only solidified our resolve to move forward together, undeterred by the chaos. Throughout this ordeal, Felicity has been an unwavering source of support. She has consistently reaffirmed her love and commitment, strengthening our resolve to proceed with our wedding plans, regardless of my family's stance. However, last week our situation escalated further when Tristan appeared at our apartment unannounced, late at night, and clearly intoxicated. He began pounding on our door, desperately yelling for Felicity, insisting he needed to speak with her. When we refused to open the door, he escalated his antics, causing a commotion in the hallway and proclaiming that I was stealing his soulmate and that Felicity was making a monumental mistake. The disturbance caught the attention of our neighbors, and amid the chaos, one of them felt compelled to call the police. By the time the police arrived, Tristan had shifted from anger to despair, sitting in the hallway, tearfully mumbling about his lost love. The officers escorted him away to sober up at the station. Watching this unfold, I felt a complex mix of anger, embarrassment, and an unexpected pang of pity for him. The confident and charming brother I remembered from our childhood was nowhere to be seen. In his place was a man who seemed utterly broken. The following day, my parents called not to offer apologies, but to chastise me for having Tristan taken away by the police. They argued that I should have allowed him to enter and talk through his issues, accusing me of being heartless and betraying the family values they instilled in me. It was disheartening to realize that no matter what Tristan did, my parents' allegiance to him remained unshakable. Given the continuous strain and the overshadowing of what should be a joyful time, Felicity and I are now seriously contemplating eloping. Additionally, we are considering relocating to a new city post-wedding to create a physical boundary from the ongoing drama. I never imagined a scenario where severing ties with my entire family might become a necessity, but it's a decision we might have to make for our mental well-being and the sustainability of our relationship. It's a painful acknowledgement, yet I recognize the need to prioritize my life with Felicity above the dysfunction within my family. For now, we are taking time to deliberate our next steps, focusing primarily on each other and the life we are eager to build together. I promise to provide an update should any significant developments occur. Thank you all for your continued support during these challenging times. Update 3. The past few weeks have been a whirlwind since my last update, and I'm grateful for the encouragement you've all shown. Your support has been invaluable. After considerable discussion, Felicity and I decided to proceed with our original wedding plans, determined not to let Tristan and my family's ongoing drama overshadow our special day. To safeguard our celebration, we hired security to prevent any potential disruptions from Tristan or others. Just 2 days before our wedding, an unexpected call from my mom added another twist to our story. Tristan had been involved in a car accident. Although not critically injured, he was quite banged up and in the hospital. Through her tears, my mom pleaded with me to postpone the wedding, hoping Tristan could attend once he recovered. I found myself torn between the lingering guilt for the brother I once knew and the reality of the pain he had inflicted upon us recently. After a heartfelt discussion with Felicity, we resolved to proceed as planned. Out of compassion, we sent Tristan flowers in the hospital, but firmly communicated that our wedding would proceed on the scheduled date. The wedding day itself was undeniably beautiful, untouched by the shadows of prior conflicts. Felicity was radiant in her dress, and as we exchanged our vows, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Confident in the decision we had made. The atmosphere was somewhat marred by the presence of my parents, who, despite attending, remained cold and distant throughout the ceremony and reception. They interacted minimally with us and left prematurely to visit Tristan, casting a slight pall over the festivities. However, it turned out that Tristan had been grappling with alcohol addiction for years, which shed some light on much of his erratic behavior. After considerable deliberation, Felicity and I agreed to meet with him. The encounter was profoundly emotional. Tristan appeared changed, more subdued and evidently remorseful. He offered a heartfelt apology in person, acknowledging full responsibility for his actions and the pain he had caused. During our meeting, Tristan opened up about the roots of his destructive behavior. He explained how his rivalry with me had escalated, driven by his addiction and deep-seated insecurities. He shared that the pressure to excel as the perfect son had been overwhelming, leading him to turn to alcohol during college as a way to cope. Over the years, his dependency worsened, fueling his inappropriate advances towards Felicity and his efforts to undermine our relationship. Expressing a commitment to his recovery, Tristan also recognized the need for space and patience from us as he worked on bettering himself. He specifically apologized to Felicity for the discomfort and mistruths he had spread about her. Felicity and I left the meeting cautiously optimistic about his prospects for improvement. We made it clear to both Tristan and our parents that while we were open to mending our relationships, it would require significant time and concerted effort from everyone involved. We have established firm boundaries and are progressing one day at a time. Our parents' attitudes have begun to shift as well. Witnessing Tristan confront his issues seems to have served as a wake-up call for them. They have since apologized for their past enabling of his behavior and their lack of support for my relationship with Felicity. While rebuilding trust remains a work in progress,